catch I've ever seen.
Receivers, and this time he lost one and it's picked off.
And Brady and Moss hook up great football players, showing why they're great.
He's got it. 20, 10. He's got it. End zone. Touchdown Titans.
What's going on a Wednesday night, y'all? I hope you're all hanging with Jimbos tonight. If you're not, you're going to miss a good show. We got a lot going on. We got free agency in full swing. Things are going to pick up on Monday. We got trades happening in the NFL. We got conspiracy theories in the NASCAR world. We got all kinds of things happening. We got baseball tournaments going on. We got March Madness getting ready to kick off. We got college basketball in full swing. And then we have the boredom of the NBA. We got some NHL hockey. Good teams playing bad teams playing good. Who knows how that's all going to end up. We got the war going on over there in Iran. And before we get too far into this, I got some good friends in the military. I just want to send prayers out to all the families that are being affected by our military doing their diligence and their service and standing up for the rights of Americans and fighting for our freedoms. We look at it from a distance. We live our lives every day, and we don't really pay attention to what's happening in some of these other countries when our military is fighting for our freedoms. And I just want to take a minute and thank everyone that is over there fighting for what we believe in as American citizens. And our hearts and prayers go out to the families that are affected by it, because more so than what you think, they're probably shoulder to shoulder with you and you don't even know it. Say a prayer for some of these guys that are over there fighting for our freedoms, because it is important, and we are making history and we are making headway. Whether you believe it's something that we should be doing as a country or not doing, to our military abroad, they don't ever question whether Democrats think it's right or Republicans think it's right. They do it for us. They do it for what we believe. They do it for what we represent. And they need our support. They need our prayers, and we need to be thinking about them. I know there's a lot of propaganda on the internet. Half of it you can believe, half of it you might as well throw in the toilet. But regardless, they're over there taking chances. They're over there supporting what we all believe in and what we take for granted as American citizens. So keep them in your prayers, and we'll move on into sports. Before we get too far in, I want to thank our sponsors. Like always, Premier Properties. I want to thank you guys, Steve and Nikki, for everything you guys do for us. I want to thank J.R. Lewis for putting together everything that we're getting ready to go into our 2026 season. I want to thank you for our entertainment side. I want to thank Norm on the Freaky Tiki at Hernando Beach with his pontoon cruises, sunset cruises, get your drink on type cruises. I want to thank him. And I also want to thank the wife for everything she's doing with Tailgater Deluxe. Tailgater Deluxe is very big and important to us. And as we go into 2026, we're going to put the hammer down with that and do some great things. I want to thank the Tampa Bay media for everything you guys have allowed me to take part in down in Tampa, and getting me involved in journalism and in doing some sports writing and sports reporting. It's been real fun. It's been a big time learning experience. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Inner Circle Entertainment and DFS Advisor. The DFS Advisor app is balls to the wall. It's just it has gone off like more than I ever expected. And getting all of the paywalls and all the stuff up for DFS Advisor has been a huge challenge. And Inner Circle Entertainment has been right there supporting it. Want to thank everybody in the office for everything you guys are doing over there. It's super cool. And with what little manpower we have, our results have been huge. So we are wrapping things up with some leagues that we're doing. We have a few more left. We'll talk a little bit about the availability of those fantasy leagues in a little bit. We have a couple best balls left. We have a Devi left. We have one dynasty left. We got a pirate. We got a chop. And that's about it. Before we go too far into the show, I want to plug a buddy of mine, Cyborg out in Texas. He puts together a great March Madness bracket league. And y'all know I'm not into brackets as far as a football thing. However, March Madness is kind of different. I do support Cyborg and everything he's doing with Hotter Than Hell. If you guys are interested in getting into a very cool, a very great March Madness bracket league, let me know. It's $20 for the first league, $10 for the next two, and you can only top out. You can only do 3 leagues. Cyborg will make some time to before this thing gets going. He's going to come on the show and wrap things up before he gets going, before the bracket kicks off. But it's kind of cool because last year I got in a motorcycle accident and I jumped in this bracket with Cyborg. And I forget how many people it was. It was like 500 and some people in it. The pot was like around $7,000. And I ended up winning second place in it with one $20 entry. One second place, won like $1,700. Couldn't have came at a better time. And Cyborg, I want to thank you. We support everything you do with your March Madness bracket, and we will continue to support you. And any of you guys in any of the Inner Circle leagues or anybody that's in any leagues with me, if you are interested in NCAA March Madness, get in touch with me. Hit me up on DM, text me, call me, and I will get you to Cyborg and get you the link so you guys can get involved in March Madness. Our NBA leagues that we have done this year with Inner Circle are getting close to the playoffs. Our lock leagues have been really, really exciting. It's been kind of cool because a lot of these big name players have been hurt. There's a whole lot of tanking going on in the NBA. So some of the guys that didn't have real great drafts, you guys are doing good because you picked up some kind of average players, consistent players, some rookies that are performing, and you're actually hanging in there and have a chance because with some of these big name people, they're either tanking, they're hurt, not hurt, pretending they're hurt, and you have a chance to make the playoffs and make some money in these leagues. So we're getting ready to wrap up our NBA basketball leagues, getting ready to get into the playoffs. So that's exciting. And Inner Circle will wrap up our NBA stuff here shortly, and we can start getting prepared for the draft, the combine. The NFL combine was this last weekend. And week kind of underwhelming in my opinion. If you take combines of the past and you compare it to this year, kind of underwhelming to me. However, there was some kind of underrated players, I would kind of put it that way, that kind of spoke up. If everybody's into the 40-yard dash, everybody's into all these tests and everything and how these guys test out. It was the fastest if you're going to compare to speed, it was the fastest on record in history for the combine. I mean, these guys are stronger, they're faster, they're interviewing better than they ever have. I had a chance to talk to Todd Bowles this week. Interviewed him down in Tampa, and he told me, he said, Jimmy, check this out. He says, in all the years he's been in coaching, these guys are so much more prepared to become professional athletes at the collegiate level. He said, whether they're physical testing, their medical testing, their professionalism, everything about these kids coming out of college these days, they are so much more prepared to become professional NFL players. He said it makes the combine all that much harder to get through things. He said, these guys are so much more advanced when we interview them that it makes the interview process that much more challenging. When you sit down with these young guys in their 20s, 19, 20, 21, and some of these guys that are in their 25s, 26 years old, and when you sit down and interview them, he said it's crazy. You would think some of these guys are in like their third and fourth year of being a professional athlete. I think a lot of things have come into play with that. I think the coaching in college football has really risen. I think some of these, I think the NIL has helped prep these guys to become professionals. They're getting a little bit of money. They're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I truly think they're starting to pattern their life in college to become professional athletes. So with that said, I think going forward, you're going to kind of get a mix. I think you're going to start seeing some of these college athletes stay in college longer. I think they're going to take advantage of the NIL and play that out with the odds of what they think they can make going into the NFL. And if you look at the way the combine is being run, a lot of people are saying, oh, you need to send it to a bigger market. It needs to get out of Indianapolis. It needs to go to New York City. It needs to go to LA. It needs to go to Miami. I don't think so. I really, really like that it's in Indianapolis. It kind of is centrally Midwestern, centrally located. And I was listening to an interview from a coach out of Green Bay that said, what's nice about it is we probably wouldn't go to the combine if it was in LA just because of the traffic. We probably wouldn't go to New York City just because of the chaos. I think having it in a little lower market in Indianapolis allows these coaches, these players, it's centrally located. It's not high traffic areas. It's not high, media. And I think it allows the college players, the coaches to kind of come in and not such a high profile situation, interview these guys, do all the medicals and do everything that they do. So, I kind of praise the NFL for keeping it in Indy. I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to stay in Indy, and I'm glad for that. It was a great combine from the standpoint of just seeing the work ethic that these guys are putting in college to get to the NFL. I think they're so much more prepared than they have been in years past. And if you look at how some of these guys tested out, some of the names that surfaced, there was talk of even tanking in the combine. Now, why a guy would tank in the combine is beyond me. Outside of guys that are like first, second pick, I get it. I get what Mendoza did. I get why he did what he did, but he's a guarantee at the number one. Tom Brady has already told this kid, you're coming to the Raiders. So I understand that. Some of the guys that didn't test as well as I thought they should have, Lemon, wide receiver out of USC, I don't think he tested all that great. I don't think he interviewed all that great. I'm going to go ahead and just lay it out there. A lot of guys had Lemon way ahead of Tate. They had this kid as, being basically the number one wide receiver that's going to get took in this draft. I'm not so sure. Jimbo's hot take is, depending on where this kid's landing spot is in the draft, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Oh, man, I can't say he's going to be a bust. I'm not going to go that far. But I am going to go as far as to say, depending on his landing spot, this kid is going to be a disappointment in fantasy league drafts. So be careful. If you are wide receiver, if you're looking to draft a wide receiver in your rookie drafts, be real careful with Lemon. There was a lot of things that happened at the combine that kind of turned me off on this kid. I was real high on him. Don't get me wrong. In fact, in a lot of my leagues, I had him as my 101. Outside of knowing that I wasn't going to get Lemon, knowing I wasn't going to get Mendoza, knowing that Love is way outside of what I was going to get. So Lemon was kind of my pick over Tate. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a little let down with what happened at the combine with Lemon. I don't think he's all that in a bag of chips. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. After the combine, I'm total flip side with Lemon. So, which is a little disheartening to me because I had him down pretty much as my top wide receiver pick in my rookie drafts. But I'm real hesitant at this point. Like I've said to all you guys in all the drafts that I've been in with you guys, there's really only about six players that I think are going to start in the NFL coming out of this draft on the offensive side. I'm not talking defense because the defensive side of this draft is way stacked and is going to mold and really be a big part for all these NFL teams. This is a defensive draft. It is not an offensive draft. As far as I'm concerned, this offensive draft is average outside of Jeremiah Love. Everybody else is average. Everyone is average other than Love. So we'll see how it all goes. We'll see what we're doing. Thank God in Devy, we picked these guys way before they hit the NFL draft, and we hit and miss on that. But thank God for the Devies because we get a lot of this sorted out way before we get to the draft. But we'll move into that. We'll talk a little bit more about the combine a little later. We'll talk a little bit more about rookie picks. We're going to talk about a little bit about what's going on in the NFL this week with free agency, the tag, the Colts and their transition tag, which is kind of historic if you compare it to past years with the NFL. Okay, let's talk about the tags. You got Kyle Pitts got tagged, Breece Hall got tagged, Pickens got tagged with Dallas, and Daniel Jones got the historic transition tag. We'll talk about Daniel Jones last. What I found ironic in all of this with the tags, okay, got 32 teams. We had 3 franchise tags, 3, Pitts, Hall, and Pickens. Now we're going to go ahead and say Daniel Jones was a tag, but it was different. It was a transition tag, which is extremely different than the other 3. But out of 32 teams, you mean to tell me that only 3 got tagged? Why do you think that is? Why do you think there was only 3 franchise tags in the NFL out of 32 teams? Money. That's why. These franchise tags are big money. And especially if you're a second-year tag, which you don't see very often, and none of these guys were second-year tags. But let's just take, for instance, okay, Kyle Pitts made last year, Kyle Pitts made Kyle Pitts was the highest paid out of all these tags last year. Okay? Daniel Jones was, excuse me. Pitts made $10 million last year, right? He's fixing to get paid on the tag 16.3 pay raise, more money. Not very many tight ends making 16.3 million. So he's good to sit back and take his tag. He ain't bitching about that. He ain't worth that. However, Bryce Hall, let's take Bryce Hall. Great running back. Shitty team. Okay. He got paid $3.2 million last year. This guy's fixing to make 14.5. That's like $10 million more a year than he made last year. He could give a shit less if he's on a shitty team. The guy's going to make $14.5 million on a tag. All right, let's take Pickens. That's even a bigger payday. And what's funny about this, and it's going to be interesting to see, but if you talk to a lot of the sports media, the big name sports media talk shows, the podcasts, these guys are all saying Pickens is going to like blow up. Pickens is going to kind of like come unglued that he didn't get a payday at Dallas. The goddamn guy got a payday. He made $3.66 million playing for Dallas last year. 3.66. Coming from the Steelers, going to Dallas, $3.66 million. He's going to get $28.8 million to play for the Dallas Cowboys next year on the franchise tag. What's he got to bitch about? That's a payday. But these guys are so greedy, so arrogant, and especially the wide receivers, they are like a girlfriend or a wife that, you know, is into diamond rings and Cadillacs and all that stuff. Pickens has no room to bitch. He's going to get paid $28.8 million to play for the Dallas Cowboys next year. He needs to shut his mouth, play for Dak Prescott, and put a smile on his face until the following year. Prove you're worth more and get your payday. All right, so now we move on to Daniel Jones. And this one is really, really, really interesting to me. Okay, so if you look at how many times the transition tag has been used, not very many in the NFL. Why they did this, I don't really get it, but yet I kind of do get it. Okay, so they're hurting at quarterback. They let Richardson go and say, seek your trade, find out what you want, get the hell out of our hair, you're gone. And they've moved on from Richardson. Okay. But now you got Daniel Jones there coming off the week 14 Achilles. And this kid's not a kid, but Daniel Jones is not going to start the season for the Indianapolis Colts. It's not going to start. Okay, so where do you say he starts, Jimbo? When's he going to come into the picture? Maybe November. That's half the goddamn season. So why are you willing to give this guy $37 million when his contract with the Colts last year, he got paid $13.6 million? That's about what Daniel Jones is worth. He had a great season before he got hurt. I'm not going to deny that. Is he worth 13.6 Baker Mayfield money? Sam Darnold money? No, he is not. Especially when you can't tell me when you're going to play football. So why did the Indianapolis Colts transition tag Daniel Jones for $37.8 million. You want to know why? Because if they would have tagged him, they had no out. If they'd have franchise tagged him, they'd have had no out. With a transition tag, they got an out. So they're going to sit back and let this all play out. And the Colts have an out. They can just not pay it. They can just say, sorry, we're not going to do it. It don't matter if Daniel Jones, okay, let's okay, been a lot of talk. Minnesota might want to try to bring him back. Okay, you think Minnesota's going to pay him $37.8 million? They're a goddamn team in the league that's going to pay Daniel Jones $37.8 million to play. Okay. So maybe the Colts weren't too stupid to go ahead and say, well, we'll see how you progress with your injury. We'll see how it goes. We got Riley Leonard in the background. We can pick up anybody. How many veteran quarterbacks are sitting in the background that would come in and play for less than $37.8 million on a one-year contract? Huh. You don't think that they get Mac Jones for less than that? You don't think that they could get Russell Wilson for less than that? You don't think that with the contract, and I don't really think this is going to go this way, but Kyler Murray is going to get paid from the Cardinals regardless, on top of wherever he ends up. And we'll talk more about Kyler later. But what I'm trying to say is, all they did is put a pause button on Daniel Jones to say, you ain't going nowhere till we decide where you're going to go. You can go ahead and go out and find yourself a $37.8 million contract, and we get first right of refusal. That's all they did. They are fully prepared to go into 2026 with Riley Leonard. Promise you that. They will pick up another quarterback in the offseason. I promise you that too. It'll be a veteran at a very low price. Because they'll roll with Riley Leonard till Daniel Jones gets healthy. But that ain't going to be till November. So all you guys that drafted Daniel Jones, if you don't have Riley Leonard on your roster, you're screwed if you were planning on starting Daniel Jones. Because I promise you, he will not be ready. For two reasons. The biggest reason is he got hurt in week 14. He's not going to be ready. Number two, if this contract goes through, he could give a shit less if he starts or not. He's going to get paid. So he is going. They both kind of got up on each other because Daniel Jones can sit back and say, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, and string the Colts along and be ready in November and still get his $37.8 million. So all I'm saying is, if you're relying on Daniel Jones to be your number 2 quarterback in a super flex league, you better find a backup plan. And the backup plan is going to be Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard 2.0, whoever they bring in as a veteran that will give Riley Leonard competition to play. A guy like a Russell Wilson, a guy like a Minshew. However, Minshaw's got history with Indy. He could very well end up back there. Does he walk away from the situation he's got in Kansas City? Hell no, he's not going to walk away from that, because Kansas City's not going to let him walk away from that, because Mahomes is not going to be ready. Could be ready. Probably won't be ready because of one reason. Kansas City's in a rebuild, and today proved it. Kansas City threw in the white flag today with the McDuffie trade. They are going full-blown rebuild. They know they are not in contention in 2026. Otherwise, they would never have traded a first-round DB. look at the picks they got, and we're going to talk about that more later. But look at what Kansas City did. So Minshaw's not going nowhere because Kansas City's going to give him more money than Indy would, even with his history at Indy. And you guys all say, oh, Jimbo's, why are you talking all this crazy contracts and who's going where in fantasy football? Guys, it means something. It means something. I look in these drafts that are happening right now, and guys are taking Daniel Jones, and this dude ain't even going to play till November. And you're taking him way up here? Seriously? You're letting guys, you got to start doing your homework in fantasy football if you're going to make money. Now, if you're just playing fantasy to play fantasy, I get it. Or maybe you're just not a degen like me and you're not into all this bullshit. But I am. I think it's cool. I think it's fun to follow it. I think it's fun to think what these GMs are thinking, why they think it. And I have learned through my years of playing fantasy that even if I'm not in an IDP league, I still pay attention to defensive moves in the NFL to kind of steer the offensive side of my fantasy leagues because it does matter. Last week we talked a little bit about Montgomery. I really had a gut feeling he was going to end up at his old offensive coordinator, Nagy. That didn't happen. However, Montgomery did get his wish. He did get traded this week, and he is on his way to the Houston Texans. A lot of people are saying that Detroit fleeced the Texans on this trade. They got offensive lineman Juice Scruggs in a 2026 fourth and a 2027 seventh. Not so sure about that. And I'm a big Woody Marks fan. Okay. Last year Jimbo's hot take Woody Marks from the get. But after watching Woody Marks play all year, was he the guy I thought he was? Yes, he was. But he's also a pussy. The guy's hurt all the goddamn time. He's coming out to the blue tent. He's coming out after this play, coming out after that play. He's in the locker room for this many plays, not playing this week because he's soft. And I didn't see that in Woody Marks last year preseason with my hot takes. Do I think he is a bell cow? Do I think he is the Houston Texans #1? He could have been before Montgomery just got traded there. Montgomery will be the #1 to start the season. Woody Marks is going to have to prove to the Houston Texans that he can stay healthy and he can be a 3-down back. All right. So I think this is great for Montgomery. I think this is great for the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans offensive line sucked last year, so losing Scruggs, even though Scruggs could be a good player, with Detroit getting the 2026 fourth and the 27 seventh and Scruggs, do I think it's a fleece? No. Do I think it was a good trade for the Detroit Lions? Yes. However, they better hope that Gibbs stays healthy or they are screwed and they will not make the playoffs. Detroit Lions will have to make a splash in free agency, not the draft. They will have to make a splash in free agency to get a backup to Gibbs. And they're lucky because the 2026 free agency plethora of running backs is there. So they have a very good opportunity to do that. Who that will be, I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it at this point because that are available, I feel, are going to end up on the same team they're on. So we'll see. There's some that won't. Aaron Jones Minnesota Vikings, they're saying if they can't get a trade, they're going to release him. You know, you got Mixon, who's a big smoking gun. Maybe he's hurt, maybe he's not. Older guy could walk in and be a good backup if he's there. We don't know what's going to happen with Chubb. A lot of guys say he's used up. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is. ETN from the Jags can sit here with this big smoke screen and say they're not going to bring him back. Why didn't they franchise tag him? This, that, and the other thing. They didn't franchise tag him because they didn't want to pay the money. They're looking for a wide receiver. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later too, and what I think the Jags are going to end up doing wide receiver-wise, which could be a big, big-time surprise. So, to me, this year's 2026 free agency pre-NFL draft is going to be very, very fun. And for those that play the Russian roulette game and don't make their decisions in pre-draft, pre-NFL draft, could be really playing Russian roulette, because I think you're going to see a lot of these NFL teams make a move, get these free agents done, and decide how they're going to go through this 2026 rookie draft, because this rookie draft is very, very underwhelming from an offensive standpoint. So we'll see how it all plays out. Let's talk a little bit about the trade made today with the DB from Kansas City, McDuffie. Guy was a first-round pick. The guy is, as far as I'm concerned, is a playmaker, is the backbone to making things happen on the defensive ball for the Kansas City Chiefs. And why Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs did this, and I will quote today Mahomes saying when he found out about it, "Damn!" What's that mean? Is it a damn in disappointment? Or is it a damn in excitement? You can bet your ass it's a damn in disappointment, because McDuffie is a interception machine. He is a tackling machine, and he secures any number one wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs and makes them an issue. Why they did this, you know, McVay at the Rams is smiling all the way to the bank on this deal. Now, the Rams gave up quite a bit. They gave up a lot, but they were hurting at DB. This is going to make things a lot better at the Rams. You know, when they had Ramsey, this was kind of their on the defensive side as a DB. McDuffie is going to be way better than Ramsey was. Will have a lot better career. He will be a Pro Bowler. He will continue to throw up the stats he's doing. However, the Rams did get a number one, a fifth, and a sixth round 26, and a 2027 third. Not too shabby to already have a number one pick, plus gain another number one pick. So Kansas City got some picks out of this. They got a 29th first round. They got a 2026 fifth and sixth, and a 2027 third. So if that doesn't scream to you rebuild, I don't know what does. Kansas City knows that with Mahomes being hurt, don't know if he's going to be ready for week one. You can talk all day long and say he's going to be. We don't know that. This screams rebuild to me. All right, so what's that mean for Kansas City? Rebuild. You can bet your ass they're going after Jeremiah Love. You can bet your ass that they are going to shore up their offensive line. And you can bet your ass that in 2027, Kansas City will be back. I don't see them. they could possibly make the playoffs, but they're not going to make a Super Bowl. This is a rebuild. With this trade today with McDuffie, that is a rebuild. All right, so the Rams ranked 19th overall last year in defense. Does this McDuffie trade bring that up and make them a top 10 defense? They got some great young players up front. Lakeland, they got Verse, they got all these guys up front in the front seven. Does this bring them into a top 10 defense? Because if it does, if this brings them into a top 10 defense and they were top 20, 19, does it bring them into a top 10? Because if it does, they will make the playoffs and they will make a run at a Super Bowl next year. Because if Stafford comes back, Puka stays healthy, Adams stays healthy, and Williams and Corum do their deal, this McDuffie trade is huge for the Rams. This will make them a top 10 defense, and they will make the playoffs, and they will make a run for a Super Bowl. That's Jimbo's take on that. You can take it or leave it. All right, so how many picks does Kansas City have? Does anybody know? Anybody tell me how many picks Kansas City's got in the draft for 2026? Well, they got their original first round ninth round pick from this year. They picked up the 29th from the Rams in this trade. They got a round 2, which is a 40th pick. They got a round 3, 74th pick. They got a round 4, 109th pick. They got a round 5, 147th pick. They got a round 5, 168th pick. They got a round 5, 177th pick. And they got a round 6, 210th pick. They got some picks. That screams rebuild. Rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. Andy Reid is going to have fun during the NFL draft because that should be that's going to give them some draft capital to move up in the draft. They could make a splash in the draft and move up, but unfortunately, it's really not going to make that much of a difference because unless they can really score with a wide receiver, because Rice is screwed. If you got Rice as a fantasy guy, you better try to move him. Get rid of him, trade him, do whatever you got to do because Rice is a piece of junk and he's not going to play a whole lot of games in 2026 with his legal problems. So they need a wide receiver. They need a running back. Now, whatever happens with Pacheco, this is going to be interesting because watch for the Pacheco movement to be a while. I don't think you'll see Pacheco move in free agency, and I don't think you'll see Kansas City re-sign him right away until the draft is over. So we'll see what happens. They're going to have to roll the dice there. They do got a young guy with Smith in there. They could fill the void until they decide what they're going to do with Love, if they get him or not. But the Kansas City draft in 2026 is going to be fun to watch. All right, so I already plugged Hotter Than Hell Cyborg with the brackets in the NCAA. We'll go ahead and pull up the NCAA. All right, this is how it's kind of shaping up. This is the rankings for the NCAA college men's basketball tournament getting ready to start up. I don't want to say it mirrors last year, but it's pretty goddamn close. Seriously, it's pretty close. How I see Florida Gators are playing outstanding basketball. Okay. Arizona is playing great basketball. Duke's playing great basketball. I don't see this bracket looking as tough as last year's. So sharpen your pencils and really do your homework on before you do your brackets this year, because I really, really think this is going to be a little bit easier sledding, if you will. I'm really excited to see Michigan State up there at number 7. Is Michigan at number 2? I think I'd kind of put Michigan back at the number 5, move the Gators up to the number 2. There's a lot of differences I have in this. Purdue, I think, is up there with Alabama and not back in this Texas Tech, Illinois thing. How North Carolina shaped up their deal, they're playing great basketball right now, but they did not do all that great. I would be real careful with how you play your North Carolina bracket. I'm not all that excited about them. Arkansas, I'm okay with. Some of these other ones, I mean, once it really gets past Purdue, I'm kind of out. Those are all kind of flyers. Now, could any of them kind of come up in there? Tennessee, UCF, we haven't talked about the play-ins, and in the 25s ranking really isn't done yet. UCF, Florida, they're playing great basketball. They're going to make the tournament one way or the other. They're going to make the tournament, and they're going to make some noise in the tournament. They're not in the top 25 right now, but you're going to see them there soon. They will make the play-in. So, anyways, plug in Cyborg and Hotter Than Hell NCAA bracket. If you guys are interested in getting involved in that, let me know, and we'll go from there. So we talked about the McDuffie deal. I'm really happy for him. I really think the Rams will have no problem signing a long-term contract with him. I think it'll work out for him. So congratulations to McDuffie. We talked about the Daniel Jones thing. I'm a big Riley Leonard fan. I think he's going to start. I look for them to pick up an older vet like a Russell Wilson, for crying out loud. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to have to do something for a starting quarterback, because it's not going to be Daniel Jones. So we'll see how it goes, see how he does through the summer, see how ready he gets to play football, and we'll go from there. I think Riley Leonard will be the starting quarterback for the Colts. Daniel Jones will slip right back in there when he's ready and has proved it in practice that he's ready. They will pick up a vet just in case Leonard struggles. But that's my take on that. You can take it or leave it. We talked a little bit about the combine. This guy right here, I didn't know a whole lot about. Love how he interviewed. Loved how he tested. His numbers are off the chart. So this week I said, you know what? Really didn't watch a lot of Arkansas football. But I watched some tape this week on this kid. This Talon Green, guys, he's a football player. He's a great kid. I like his demeanor. I like his attitude. I think this guy is going to be a surprise in the NFL. Where his landing spot ends up, there's a lot of guys, a lot of teams high on him. How he lands is going to be very key. But I'm high on this kid. I'm excited because in a lot of Devy leagues, he's not been picked up, hasn't been drafted. So he is going to be available in rookie drafts in a Devy league. He is going to be someone I target. This Talon Green kid, I'm excited about. I think he will make a great NFL quarterback. I'm excited about it. He's going to be a work in progress. He needs to get underneath the right quarterback coach. But I think you'll be surprised at how this guy ends up. I think he's a great, great quarterback. He's got a strong arm. Guy's quick. Guy can run. The guy can read defenses. You know, I went back and looked at the tape like I was telling you, and this guy is really good with his progressions. I mean, he don't rush it. His footwork, you know, could use some work. But you can tell upstairs this kid's got it. He struggles with his footwork. I'm not going to lie about that. But upstairs, he's thinking it, and I think he's going to be good. I do think this kid, Taylor Green, is going to be a good quarterback. So we'll see how that goes. Outside of that, this is another surprise, another Arkansas kid. Guys, I had Price as my number 2 out of Notre Dame, number 2 running back. I've since changed my mind. Love is clearly the number 1. There's no doubt. But this Mike Washington kid is a football stud. This dude should be on your radar if you're looking for running backs in your rookie draft. This kid is a pickup. I moved him ahead of Price. I'm drafting this guy if I can get my hands on this guy. Is he a starter in the NFL right away? I'm going to say no, but I'll tell you what, I want him on my fantasy football teams from a dynasty standpoint. From a redraft standpoint, not so much. There's only one running back in here that we're talking about for redraft, but from a dynasty standpoint, this kid from Arkansas is the real deal. He is a great running back. So if you're looking to draft somebody, does he make it? Is he a first-round guy? Maybe. 1-9, 110, 111, 112. Yep, I'm grabbing him. If I can get this kid at a 109, I'm taking him ahead of 3 wide receivers. There's only 3 wide receivers I would take ahead of him. If I miss out on Love, which I probably will out of most of my drafts, I'm taking this kid. So look him up, do some research, watch some tape, and I think you'll agree with me on his value going into 2026 rookie drafts. Let's talk a little bit about this, get it out of the way. Mr. Pink Baggies in the whole 9 yards. Today, the New England Patriots release Stephon Diggs. Was it the right move? They making cap room? They got a lot of money to play in the cap. They got a lot of money to spend. Did they make this move to get A.J. Brown? Did they make this move to get Mike Evans? One of the two. Because you can bet your ass there's no other reason outside of they know more about his legal issue than he does, and they're letting him go now and getting it out of the way. I don't know. Stephon Diggs is another drama queen, just like Tyreek Hill and just like a lot of them. Is he a good wide receiver? Yes. 11 years in the league. Can he still play football? Yes. Is he still playing at the level he played when he was at Minnesota? No. Is he still playing at the level he played when he played at the Bills? No. But he's still a good wide receiver. And the only reason you would need to get rid of this cat is 2 reasons. Well, 3. Either he's hurt, which he's not, or he's got a legal problem with a little pink baggie, or a woman problem, which is very possible, or you're making room for A.J. Brown or Mike Evans. I think it's the latter. I think they're making room for A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown's landing spot will be with Vrabel. And I remember when A.J. Brown left the Titans, Vrabel was extremely surprised, agreed that there was a drama problem, but dealt with it and was okay with it. I think you will see A.J. Brown and the New England Patriots work out a deal to get Brown there, and they're making room for it right now, getting it out of the way, and Diggs is gone after Wednesday with the New Year League. So I was surprised to see it, but not really. Do I think it's a good move for New England? Yes, I'd take A.J. Brown over Diggs any day of the week. So I'd take Mike Evans over Diggs any day of the week. There's a lot of other guys in the league I'd take over Diggs. So I think New England's making the right decision releasing him before the new year starts. So where Stephon Diggs lands, nobody knows. We'll wait and see how he does with his legal issues, and he'll play football if he can get through all the legal issues. All right, so this is a big one right now. Number one free agent in the NFL. Number one. Defensive player. All the trash, all the bullshit that this guy's gone through at Cincinnati. Cincinnati don't pay nobody, never wants to pay nobody. Everybody's saying Hendrickson is a number one free agent out there right now. Now, we can't count Crosby because Crosby's not a true free agent. He just wants to get traded. Okay? So you throw this guy out there and you say, okay, what's he worth? Where does he want to go? Obviously, Cincinnati decided it's too much money to franchise tag him or they'd have done it. They don't care about all the bullshit, all the fighting and arguing that they've done over the last couple of years on contract. However, Hendrickson has been injured, but the guy still produced 17 sacks. Okay. Is he on the wrong side of age-wise? He's getting there. Can he still play football? Can he still be an edge rusher that a team like Tampa Bay could be looking at? A team like the New York Giants could be looking at? So this is an interesting one. And what I learned about Hendrickson this week is the dude's from Florida. He's got, I don't know, his mom and dad live in Orlando. He has a house in Ponte Verde, which is up by Jacksonville. He was quoted in talks behind closed doors that he wants to play for Tampa Bay. Okay, perfect fit in my mind. Tampa Bay needs defense. Guy's coming off a core surgery. He's been injured also, just like Crosby. So when you line the two best defensive players available, whether one is available through free agency and one is a trade candidate, okay? So you can't get Crosby just by paying for him. You got to do a trade with the Raiders to get him. Hendrickson, on the other hand, is now a true free agent. So you're going to have to pay this kid. All right, so what's he worth? If you could have Trey Hendrickson, okay, so if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, I'll give you would you rather. We do a lot of would you rather down here in Tampa Bay radio. Would you rather get Trey Hendrickson, shore up your defense, and keep your picks in the draft, or would you rather have Mike Evans? Because them are the two that you can pay for. Okay? You can either pay 15 to 22, 25 million for Mike Evans. You know, the Bucs would love to get Mike back on a family-friendly contract of 15 to 18 million. Guy's playing hurt 90% of the time. Okay? Missed some games last year with a hamstring like he always does. Us Tampa Bay fans, we always count on Mike having a hammy issue. That ain't going away. The collarbone was a freak deal. The guy is still a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Would you rather, as a Tampa Bay Bucs fan, have Mike Evans come back, or would you rather shore up your defense and get 17 sacks and get a badass defensive lineman? All right. I think I'm taking the Trey Hendrickson side of this battle in saying, Mike, I love you. I wish you could retire a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, but you know what? Tampa Bay Bucs are not going anywhere without a defense. That's our Achilles heel down here. We can make it without Mike Evans, with Mbuka, with Godwin, with McMillan, with Tez Johnson. We can make it on the wide receiver side. I ain't worried about it. We need defense in Tampa Bay. Now, whether it comes from Jason Light being a hero and scoring somebody and moving up in a draft to get one guy on a maybe out of the draft, or pay this kid, Trey Hendrickson, to come to Tampa Bay. Okay. Or, been a lot of talk about Max Crosby. But now Max Crosby is a different deal. They're going to have to give up a number 1, a number 2, and a player. I don't, a lot of people are saying, oh, 2 number 1s for Crosby, a number 1 and a number 2, and 2 players for Crosby. If I'm the Tampa Bay Bucks, I'm giving up the 115, number 1, 15th pick, in 26th draft. I'll give them a number 2, 2027 pick, not a 26, and I will give them Gedeke, offensive lineman. Because in all reality, Gedeke, now Jason Light's not going to want to do that, but I think it intrigues the Raiders enough to want to protect their brand new rookie quarterback with an offensive lineman like Gedeke. So I think that's what it would take. A lot of people didn't even have the Bucks in the talk for Gedeke or for Crosby until this week. We'll see. I hear there's a lot of rumors that Tampa Bay has a chance at Crosby because they are willing to give up the 115. Now, if you look at all the other teams looking for Crosby, they don't have the first round pick. They got the pick, but is it a 15 or better? No. So I think that pick that the Bucks got is on its way to pulling some weight with that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see things kind of come to a head. Monday's really going to kick it off when the tampering stuff's all over and all these guys can go out and really find what they say. I think at the end of the day, you'll see Mike Evans end up as a Buffalo Bill. And I think we'll be fine if he does leave. I don't think it's worth paying Mike 23, 24, 25 million when we need defense. We need defense. So we'll see how that all plays out. We were talking buy and sell last week. What are we doing with guys like Kyler Murray on our fantasy leagues? What are we doing with Tua? What are we doing with Aaron Jones? Is Kirk Cousins' days over? Or is he going to slide in as a fill-in and be a bridge quarterback like Brissett has? Where are we at with some of these guys? Is Tyreek Hill going to play football? Is he going to get through the injury? Is Alec Pierce really worth what they're saying? I'll tell you a guy that I'm hearing about that I am buying right now. If I can get my hands on Naylor out of Minnesota, there is a lot of talk that Naylor is going to be moving on from the Minnesota Vikings. And, Naylor did a great job of being there. Am I taking him ahead of guys like Debo? Debo's a free agent too. Kind of hard. I got my ass kicked so many years playing fantasy football by Debo Samuel. And then it was kind of funny because I did a bunch of brand new dynasties. I went out and I said, I want Debo Samuel. And then Debo played like shit. Is Debo that great? Is he going to stay with Washington? Is he going to kind of be the next guy up? What's going to happen with Ayuk? What's going to happen with, Juan Jennings? What's going to go on with some of these wide receivers? There's a lot of wide receivers. There's talk of, okay, what's going to happen, up in Jacksonville? Are they going to shit can their, second-year wide receiver right away? Is Shaheed didn't prove enough to stay in Seattle and they're going to let him go? I mean, is Brian Thomas just a one and done in Jacksonville? I mean, this guy was going at the 112, the 201, the 204 in startup drafts. you can't even get him right now. He's fallen down to a 6th and 7th round pick in startups. I don't think he's used up. And then now my hot take. Well, we're going to end this night on Jimbo's hot take because until some of this shit starts shaking out, it's all whatever you think it can be and what you want it to be. I can tell you this, the 2026 season free agency is probably one of the most exciting free agencies that I've done in 10, 12 years. So I'm excited for next week. I would love to be in 5 or 6 drafts right now, but I'm not. I'm only in 2. And one's a Debbie, and the other one's a Dynasty. And the Dynasty is just about done. It'll be done probably before Monday. But I always like being on the clock when shit's happening in free agency. I love it. And so we'll see where it goes and what it is. But there was one other thing I wanted before I screw up. I got to throw a shout out to Scott Farrell and the Prophet. Guys, if you are looking to make money in gambling, in basketball, hockey, you got to look up Profitable TV. Scott Farrell and the Prophet are making people money left and right. And I'm not just talking about a little bit of money. These guys don't miss in their picks. NHL hockey, NBA, college basketball, these guys are the best. I mean, they might miss 1 or 2 out of 20, 30 games. Whether it's hockey, NBA, college basketball, they'll give you 20, 30 different games. They only miss maybe 1 or 2. So if you're looking to gamble, you're looking for some advice, you're looking for your bracket advice, you're looking for your NHL hockey advice, Profitable TV, Scott Farrell and the Prophet, look them up. Them guys are kicking ass and taking names, making people money. So get out there and do it. We got to touch on the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio, coming up in July, the 24th, 26th. Get on there. They have a Discord. Get on there, check it out. The rooms are filling up fast out there, motel rooms. Their live draft stuff is happening. Come on out there. Get involved in this. It's fun stuff. Stay in tune with the Fantasy Football Expo. If you've never done it before, I guarantee you will have a blast with it. So look that up. Want to send a shout out to my buddy Trader Scum out there in Vegas. Buddy, if you end up getting Mike Evans, bless your heart, you may get yourself out of your little dumpster fire you got going on up there in Buffalo. Miss you, brother. Hope everything's great with you and all your guys' new ventures. I hear about them here and there. And good luck with what y'all are doing over there. All right. I guess that's just about going to put a wrap on it. I wanted to – what'd you say, Lisa? Hot take. Yeah, Jimbo's hot takes. You want to do a Jimbo's hot take? All right. The wife's in the background screaming Jimbo's hot takes. Jimbo's hot takes. All right. So if any of you guys are from Tampa and you know that Liam Cohen was our offensive coordinator down here, you know how it all went down out of Tampa, and you know that he really doesn't like Tampa Bay, right? Well, during Radio Row, our good friend Nick Wise was out there running the booth on Radio Row before T-Crash got out there. And Nick Wise was doing Radio Row, and here comes Liam Cohen walking by. He says, "Hey, Liam, grab the mic. I want to do an interview." Liam Cohen says, "Where are you from?" He said, "Tampa." Oh, my God. Did that start some shit? So Liam Cohen does not like Tampa Bay. Liam Cohen, Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, has stated that Travis Hunter, their big old wide receiver, defensive back, is only going to play defense this year. Very little offense, right? And then you have this talk of them wanting to get rid of their other wide receiver and make him up for trade bait, Mr. Brian Thomas. That leaves Jacoby Myers. Last year, they acquired Jacoby Myers from the Las Vegas Raiders. Is Jacoby Myers a true number one wide receiver? Can anybody tell me? I don't think so. I think Jacoby Myers is a real solid number two in today's NFL. I think they're playing a game with Travis Etienne on money. So Jimbo's hot take tonight, Wednesday night, is I think Liam Cohen is making a move for Mike Evans. There's been all kinds of talk where Mike's going to go. Is he going to go back to Tampa Bay? Is he going to go to his hometown of the Houston Texans and go play with Stroud and all that? Is he going to come back to Tampa Bay? Is he just trying to get more money out of Tampa Bay? Does he really love Baker Mayfield all that much? Some of Mike's, I don't want to call them demands, but, you know, Gilmore really made some underlying things in an interview that I was in with him. And I think offensive coordinator and how many touches Mike Evans is going to make over the next 2 years to solidify his legacy from a stat standpoint and a chance to win a ring end up in the hands of Liam Cohen at the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's Jimbo's hot take. You can take it or leave it. I think Mike Evans ends up signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I will leave that with y'all. And we'll go ahead and call it a night. Appreciate you guys. Don't miss the Saturday show at 7 o'clock. And other than that, I'll see you next week on Wednesday if you don't make the 7 o'clock Saturday show. So y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself. And the weather's getting really nice down here in Florida. It's been 80-some degrees this week. So get out, do your fishing. From what I hear, the red snappers are biting. Everybody's getting blue crabs real hot and heavy right now. So get out there, get out in the water. Y'all be safe. Y'all be cool. And remember, don't drink and draft. We'll see you guys later.